The door slammed against the wall as Jessica stumbled inside, her laughter sharp and reckless, bouncing off the quiet walls of our home. I wasn't supposed to be awake. She thought she'd sneak in, slide under the covers, and sleep off whatever the hell she'd been up to. But I was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, staring at her like a man watching his world crack open. She didn't see me at first. She was too busy fumbling with the clasp of her purse. Swaying like gravity had turned into a suggestion rather than a rule. Her black dress, the one she never wore for me anymore, clung to her body like it had secrets to tell. And then I saw it. White streaks across her back. Thin, smeared, like someone had run their fingers over her. My pulse pounded in my ears. She turned, finally noticing me, and froze mid-step. A flicker of something, annoyance, crossed her face before she forced a smile. "Why are you up?" she slurred, kicking off her heels with careless abandon. I didn't answer. I just stared. My mind was a hurricane, tearing through every possibility, every scenario, every explanation she could throw at me. But nothing, absolutely nothing, justified what I was looking at. She rolled her eyes. "Don't start. It was just a party." "Turn around," I said. Her brows knitted together. "What? Turn around?" My voice was ice. Jessica hesitated, then let out an exaggerated sigh before spinning lazily in place. My stomach twisted as I stepped closer. The white streaks weren't just powder. They were handprints, ghostly imprints of someone else's touch. A slow, sick smile spread across her face. "You're being dramatic." My breath hitched. She wasn't scared. She wasn't scrambling for an excuse. She wasn't even trying to hide it. She was daring me to react. I took another step forward, voice dangerously low. "Who?" She laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, babe, don't be that guy. That guy. That fool. That clueless idiot." Husbands turn into right before their whole world caves in. My hands curled into fists, every muscle in my body begging for an outlet, for something, anything, to stop the fury clawing its way through my chest. She walked past me, completely unfazed, trailing fingers across the kitchen counter like she owned the room, the night, the situation. "You always take things so seriously." I didn't move, couldn't. My whole world had just tilted sideways, and she acted like it was just another Tuesday. But then she did something that shattered any last hope I had that this was some misunderstanding. She pulled out her phone, smirking as she scrolled. A message popped up. A name I didn't recognize. A devil emoji. A message that said simply, "Already miss you." She didn't even try to hide it. And that was when I knew this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a drunken slip. It was something far worse. It was deliberate, cold, calculated. And I was done playing the fool. Jessica's smirk was still plastered on her face as she scrolled through her phone, completely unbothered by the fact that I was standing right there, watching. She didn't flinch, didn't try to turn the screen away. It was like she wanted me to see it, like she wanted to see how much it would break me. I moved before I even realized what I was doing. Not towards her, towards her phone. My hand shot out, snatching it from her grip so fast that, for the first time that night, her mask slipped. "The F asterisk asterisk asterisk, Daniel?" she snapped, reaching for it. But I stepped back, my thumb already moving across the screen. The message thread was open. A name, Tyler. I didn't know a Tyler, at least not in her world. And the messages, Jesus. They weren't even subtle. The devil emoji was just the tip of the iceberg. Scrolling up, I found more. "Last night was insane. Still thinking about your body. That dress was a mistake. I could barely keep my hands off you. Wish you could have stayed longer. Next time, no leaving early." The blood drained from my face. I kept scrolling past heart emojis, past pictures she had sent. Pictures she sure as hell never sent me. Every word, every stolen moment, every whispered promise behind my back. It was all there, documented like a twisted love story I was never meant to read. Jessica's expression shifted. Not guilt, not regret, annoyance. Like I had just snooped through something that wasn't my business. Like I was the problem here. "Give me my phone, Daniel," she said, voice sharp. I looked up at her, my hands shaking from the sheer force of trying to hold myself together. "Who the hell is Tyler?" My voice came out quieter than I expected, controlled. But underneath there was something raw, something about to snap. She let out a breath, crossing her arms. Jesus Christ, you're embarrassing yourself. He's just a friend. A laugh, harsh, humorless, escaped me before I could stop it. A friend. I shook the phone in my hand. Are you and is serious right now? She shrugged, like I had just caught her texting about the weather. You're overreacting, she sighed. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. My entire marriage was burning to the ground, and she stood there, unfazed, arms crossed like I was some annoying customer complaining about bad service. I stared at her, waiting for something. Remorse, panic, anything that resembled a human reaction. But there was nothing. Just that same smug, bored expression. Like she couldn't believe she was even having this conversation. I took a deep breath, gripping her phone so tightly I thought it might snap in half. Tell me the truth, I said, voice shaking. How long? Jessica tilted her head like she was actually considering the question. Does it matter? Does it matter? I swear to God. For a second, I thought I might lose it. My vision blurred at the edges, my whole body buzzing like a live wire. This was my wife, the woman I had built a life with, and she stood in front of me, not just unfaithful, but unapologetic. I exhaled, steadying myself. Get out, I said, the words tasting foreign in my mouth. Jessica raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? You heard me. I tossed her phone onto the couch. Pack a bag. Get out. Her lips curled into a slow, taunting smile. Oh, babe. She stepped closer, placing a manicured hand on my chest. You don't get to kick me out of my own house. I grabbed her wrist, gently but firmly, and removed her hand. It stopped being your house the second you let another man put his hands on you. For the first time, something flickered in her eyes. Not fear, not sadness, amusement. She leaned in, so close I could smell the alcohol on her breath. You really think I'm leaving? She whispered, her voice dripping with condescension. You think you're the one in control here? I clenched my jaw, every nerve screaming for me to walk away before I said something I couldn't take back. But before I could, Jessica smirked and delivered the final blow. You're adorable when you're angry. Then she turned on her heel and walked upstairs, leaving me standing there, shaking with rage. And in that moment I knew this wasn't just about cheating. This was war. That I stood there, fists clenched, heart hammering against my ribs like it was trying to break free from my chest. Upstairs, I heard drawers opening and closing, the sound of Jessica moving around like nothing had happened, like she had won. She thought this was a game, a stupid, twisted power play. She had no fear, no remorse. And that was the part that burned the most. I wasn't about to let this slide. I stormed upstairs, 2 steps at a time, my pulse a wildfire raging through my veins. Jessica was in the bedroom, casually tossing clothes onto the bed. Not packing, not leaving, just making a point. She turned when she saw me, her lips curling into that same infuriating smirk. You're still mad. I grabbed her wrist, firm, but not hard enough to hurt, enough to force her to listen. Tell me the truth. My voice was low, steady, dangerous. How long have you been screwing him? Jessica sighed dramatically, pulling her wrist away like I was exhausting her. God, Daniel, you sound so pathetic right now. Something inside me cracked. I grabbed the nearest thing I could, one of her makeup bags, and hurled it against the wall. It exploded in a burst of powders and lipsticks, the mirror inside shattering on impact. Jessica actually jumped. For the first time, she didn't look quite so smug. I asked you a question, I said, my voice deadly calm. She recovered quickly, rolling her eyes. What, you want to hear some tragic confession? You want to cry together? She laughed, shaking her head. Newsflash, babe, this didn't just happen. You've been blind for months. The words hit like a gut punch. Months. Not a one-time mistake. Not a moment of weakness. She had been living this betrayal, carrying it in her pocket like a secret trophy, while I sat downstairs like a goddamn idiot, believing she was coming home late because of work. I took a step closer, my voice barely above a whisper. Why? Jessica tilted her head, feigning innocence. Why not? That was it. No apology. No justification. Just why not? I exhaled sharply, my hands shaking at my sides. Get out. She folded her arms, shifting her weight onto one leg like I had just asked her to do the dishes. And if I don't? That was it. That was the moment I snapped. I strode across the room, yanked open the closet, and started grabbing her clothes. Hangers, dresses, shoes. I ripped them from their places and hurled them onto the floor. Jessica gasped. What the hell are you doing? I didn't answer. I went to the dresser next, pulling out drawers, shoving their contents onto the bed, the floor, anywhere but where they belonged. She laughed. Actually laughed. You think this is gonna make me leave? She taunted. You think throwing my clothes is some kind of power move? I turned, breathing hard, staring at the woman I no longer recognized. You want to stay? Fine. My voice was eerily calm. But I promise you after tonight you won't want to. Her amusement flickered just for a second. What the hell does that mean? I grabbed my phone. Let's find out. Jessica's face finally dropped. Daniel, don't. But it was too late. I was already dialing. Jessica lunged for the phone, but I sidestepped easily, keeping it just out of her reach. Now she cared. Now, after months of sneaking around, after laughing in my face, after treating me like some clueless idiot, now she was scared. Daniel, stop. Her voice had lost its smug edge. There was something sharper underneath. Panic. I held up a finger, eyes locked on hers as the dial tone rang. Once, twice. Then, hello. A male voice. His voice. Jessica's breath hitched. Her whole body went rigid. And that was all the confirmation I needed. I smiled, cold and cruel. Tyler, I said, keeping my tone light. What's up, man? Silence. Then, cautiously, who's this? Jessica's hands curled into fists. She looked like she wanted to kill me. Good. I took a slow breath. Oh, you know exactly who this is. A pause. Then a quiet, **T. Jessica snapped. Daniel. Hang up the F*** on the phone. She lunged again, but this time, I let her grab at me, let her fight for it because I wasn't giving it up. What's wrong, Jess? I taunted, voice dripping with mock concern. I thought Tyler was just a friend? Tyler exhaled sharply on the other end. Look, man, I cut him off. How long have you been screwing my wife? Jessica screamed in frustration, grabbing my arm, trying to wrench the phone away. But I was stronger. And more than that, I had nothing left to lose. Tyler hesitated. He hesitated. That was enough. Jessica lost it. Daniel, hang up. Right now. I shrugged her off, my heart pounding. Answer the question, Tyler. Or should I ask your boss? Silence. Then, click. He hung up. Jessica lost it. You are such a F***Angie child. She shrieked, shoving me. What, you think you won something? You think this makes you a man? I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Oh, I didn't win anything. I took a step closer, towering over her now. But I sure as hell made you lose. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her breath coming in ragged gasps. And then the mask cracked. For the first time that night, Jessica looked afraid. She knew. She knew this wasn't over. Jessica's eyes darted to her phone, then back to me. Her breathing was uneven, her hands shaking just slightly at her sides. She was trying to hide it, trying to stay in control. But she had already lost. I could see it. You don't know what you just did, she hissed, voice laced with venom. I tilted my head. Enlighten me. She let out a sharp breath, shoving a hand through her hair. You think Tyler's the problem? Her laugh was humorless, edged with something desperate. You have no idea what you've stepped into. I raised an eyebrow. You mean the guy who just hung up on me like a coward? The one who... I glanced at her phone, still open on the couch, displaying their messages. Misses your body? That Tyler. Her jaw clenched. You don't understand. I stepped closer. Then make me understand. Jessica stared at me for a long moment, her lips pressing into a tight line. I could see the wheels turning in her head. We had been married long enough for me to know when she was weighing her options. when she was deciding whether to lie, manipulate, or finally tell the truth. She sighed, shaking her head. Fine. You want the truth. I folded my arms. I'd love nothing more. She took a step back, crossing her arms over her chest like she needed some kind of armor. Tyler isn't just some guy, Daniel. He's... She hesitated, then exhaled sharply. He's my boss's husband. The room went dead silent. I blinked. What? Jessica smirked at my reaction, the confidence creeping back into her posture. Yeah, let that sink in. I stared at her, trying to process what she had just said. My stomach twisted. I knew her boss, Lauren. She had come to our house once, for a work dinner. Hell, she'd shaken my hand. And all this time, her husband? I felt sick. Jessica watched me carefully, waiting for the realization to hit. Then she leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper. And if you think I'm the only one keeping secrets? She trailed off, letting the implication hang in the air. I narrowed my eyes. What the hell does that mean? She smiled. It means that if you go running your mouth, you might find out that Tyler isn't the only one Lauren should be worried about. My blood ran cold. Jessica saw the shift in my expression and laughed. Oh, babe, you really thought I was the villain here, didn't you? She tilted her head mockingly. Newsflash. Everyone in this world plays dirty. You're just the last one to realize it. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms. This wasn't just an affair. This was something else entirely. And now I had two choices. Walk away, or burn everything down. I stood there, staring at the woman I once thought I knew, but Jessica wasn't my wife anymore. She was something else. Something cold, calculated, dangerous in a way I had never imagined. My mind raced. If she was telling the truth, this wasn't just about her cheating. This was bigger, dirtier. Explain, I said, voice sharp. Jessica smirked like she had just won a bet. She wanted me to ask. She took a slow step forward, running a hand down my chest in a mock display of affection. Lauren isn't as innocent as she seems, she purred. She plays the perfect wife, the perfect boss, but let's just say, she's had her own fun. I knocked her hand away. Cut the games, Jessica. She rolled her eyes, sighing dramatically. Fine. You really want to know? She leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper. She's been screwing someone at work. And guess who covered for her? My breath caught. Jessica. It all clicked. The late nights, the sudden promotions, the way she always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. You're blackmailing her, I said slowly. Jessica grinned. Ding, ding, ding. I exhaled sharply, trying to suppress the rage boiling under my skin. You've been sleeping with Tyler while covering for his wife's affair. Jesus Christ, Jessica. She shrugged. It's a win-win. I took a step back, shaking my head. You're insane. Jessica's eyes darkened. No, Daniel. I'm smart. I scoffed. Smart? You think you're untouchable? What happens when Lauren finds out? When she realizes you've been playing both sides? Jessica's smirk didn't falter. She won't. Not unless you tell her. A beat of silence passed between us. She was daring me. Jessica stepped even closer, lowering her voice to a hushed whisper. Let me guess. You want revenge? You want to run to Lauren, expose everything, blow it all up? She smiled sweetly. Go ahead. But when the dust settles, you'll be right there in the wreckage with the rest of us. I clenched my jaw. She was right. If I exposed her, it wouldn't just ruin her. It would drag me into the mess. Our house, our finances, our lives. Jessica leaned in, her breath warm against my ear. So what's it gonna be, babe? My mind raced. I had two options. Play her game or change the rules. And in that moment, I made my decision. I wasn't going to play. I was going to end this. I took a slow breath, forcing my hands to unclench. Jessica thought she had me cornered, but she didn't realize something. I wasn't the same man who stood in this room an hour ago. I had been humiliated, lied to, played like a fool. But now, I was done. Jessica watched me carefully, her smirk still in place, but I saw it now, the cracks. The slight twitch of her fingers, the way her breath was just a little too controlled. She knew I wasn't backing down. I tilted my head, keeping my voice calm. You really think I'm afraid of you? Jessica's smirk widened. I think you're too smart to make a mistake. I let out a low chuckle. You mean like trusting you? Her jaw tensed. I took another step back, pacing slowly around the room, pretending to consider my options. Let her think I was still unsure. Let her think she still had control. Then, I turned and hit her with the first blow. You said Lauren's cheating. You're sure? Jessica hesitated. Just for a second. Then, of course. I nodded. Good. Because she's about to find out about Tyler. Jessica's entire body stiffened. What? I grabbed her phone from the couch and held it up. I've got everything I need. The messages. The pictures. The proof. I tilted my head. How do you think Lauren's gonna react when she sees what her husband's been doing? Jessica's face paled. Daniel. Don't with this. I shrugged. You said she's cheating too, right? So maybe she won't care. I smiled coldly. Or maybe she'll burn your whole world to the ground. Jessica stepped forward quickly, reaching for the phone, but I pulled it back. Give it to me, she snapped. I grinned. Now she was the one panicking. Not so fun when you're not holding the cards, huh? I said. Jessica exhaled sharply, running a hand through her hair. Daniel, listen to me. If you do this, you're making an enemy out of me. I let the words settle, then took a slow step forward. You were never my Angie friend, Jessica. For the first time, she had nothing to say. I turned, phone in hand, and walked out of the bedroom. She didn't follow me. She didn't move. I could feel the weight of her glare on my back, could practically hear her brain scrambling for a way to stop me. But it was too late. This game was over. Now, I was going to burn it all down. I didn't stop walking. Down the stairs, through the hallway, into the kitchen. Jessica didn't follow, not yet. She was still upstairs, frozen, calculating. She thought she still had control. She was wrong. I placed her phone on the counter, my heart pounding, but my mind was sharp, clear. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about ending her game once and for all. I unlocked her phone again. She hadn't even tried to grab it back. That told me everything. I had scared her. Good. Tyler had already shown his true colors by hanging up like a coward. That was his mistake. Now it was Lauren's turn. I scrolled through Jessica's messages until I found Lauren's name. A simple text thread. Professional. Clean. Like two colleagues. Not two women tangled in each other's secrets. Jessica was careful, but I was about to make her sloppy. I clicked the message field, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then I typed, Lauren, we need to talk. It's about Tyler. Call me. Now. I stared at the words, feeling the weight of them. One message. That's all it would take. I hit send. Jessica's sharp voice rang out behind me. Daniel, stop. Too late. I turned just in time to see her storming down the stairs, eyes blazing, fists clenched at her sides. She was furious. More furious than when I called Tyler. More furious than when I went through her phone. This was real fear. She skidded to a stop in front of me, breathing hard. You don't know what you just did. I smirked. Enlighten me. She grabbed the phone, checking the screen, as if somehow she could unsend the message just by staring at it. Lauren's going to call me any second now, she seethed. And when she does, I'm going to fix this. I leaned against the counter. Go ahead. Tell her whatever you want. I folded my arms. But the second she sees what I have on Tyler, you think she's going to believe a word you say? Jessica's jaw clenched. She was trapped. And then her phone buzzed. Lauren. Jessica's fingers twitched around the device, hesitation flashing across her face for the first time. She was usually so quick. Always had an answer, a plan. But now, she was stuck. I smirked. Better answer. Wouldn't want her to think you're hiding something. Jessica shot me a look of pure hatred. Then she turned away and picked up the call. Hey, Lauren. Her voice was too casual, too forced. Yeah, I just saw your message. She locked eyes with me, her knuckles white around the phone. Checkmate. Jessica. I watched Jessica like a hawk as she pressed the phone to her ear. Her whole body was tense, her eyes flickering with panic despite the fake calm in her voice. Yeah, Lauren, she said, forcing a little laugh. I don't know what Daniel is talking about. I grinned. Liar. Her fingers tapped against the counter, restless. Look, just give me a second to figure this out. Okay? I'll call you right back. She hung up before Lauren could respond. The second the call ended, she whirled on me, furious. You think this is funny? I shrugged. I think you're sweating. Jessica gritted her teeth, inhaling sharply. You want to blow up my life? Fine. But what do you think happens next, Daniel? You think Lauren's just gonna cry into a pillow and move on? She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. She's not the type to roll over and take it. I smirked. Neither am I. Jessica let out a sharp, bitter laugh. Jesus Christ, you're so stupid. She shoved a hand through her hair, pacing. Do you even know who Lauren is? What she's capable of? I stayed quiet. Jessica exhaled hard. She doesn't just own half the company, Daniel. She owns people. She turned, eyes burning with warning. And if you drag her into this, she will ruin you. I tilted my head. Kinda sounds like she deserves it. Jessica threw up her hands. Oh my God. You are so naive. You really think you're some kind of hero? That you're gonna save the day by exposing Tyler? I leaned in. No, I smiled. I just want to watch everything you built crumble. Jessica's breath hitched. There it was. That flicker of fear. Because for the first time, she believed me. Her phone buzzed again. Lauren. Jessica flinched. I grinned. Tick-tock, babe. She swallowed, her fingers tightening around the phone. Her brain was working overtime trying to find an escape route. But there wasn't one. Not anymore. She had trapped herself. And I was going to watch her burn. Jessica stood frozen. Her fingers clenched so tightly around her phone that I half expected it to crack. The screen lit up again. Lauren. Calling. Again. She didn't answer. I smiled. What's wrong? You were so confident a minute ago. Her nostrils flared. You don't understand what you've done. Oh, I understand just fine, I said, leaning against the counter. You thought you could cheat, lie, manipulate, and walk away untouched. You thought you were untouchable. Her jaw clenched. The phone stopped ringing. Silence hung thick between us, but Jessica's breathing had changed. Shallower. Quicker. I had her. Then suddenly she straightened. Her smirk was back. The smugness. The mask. She crossed her arms. You know what? Fine. She tilted her head. Go ahead. Expose Tyler. Ruin your own life in the process. See if I care. I exhaled a laugh. You're bluffing. Her smirk widened. Am I? For a second I hesitated. She saw it. She latched onto it. Think about it, Daniel. She took a slow step forward, voice smooth as poison. Lauren finds out about Tyler. And what does she do? Cry? Divorce him? She leaned in, voice dropping lower. No. She buries him. She buries me. And if you think she won't drag you down with us, you're even dumber than I thought. I clenched my jaw. Jessica's smirk didn't waver. You think I've been playing dirty? She laughed, shaking her head. You have no idea what Lauren is capable of. She was bluffing. She had to be, right? My phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out, frowning. Unknown number. Jessica's smirk widened. Told you. I hesitated. Then slowly I answered. Daniel. A voice on the other end. Lauren's voice. Calm. Cold. Let's talk. I stepped away from Jessica, my heart pounding as I pressed the phone to my ear. The kitchen suddenly felt smaller, the air heavier. Lauren's voice was smooth, controlled. Daniel, I assume you know who this is. I locked eyes with Jessica. She was smirking again, arms crossed, her whole body radiating smug satisfaction. She thought Lauren was her safety net. She thought wrong. I turned away, focusing on the call. Yeah, Lauren. I know. A pause. Then good. Then let's skip the theatrics. Her voice was unreadable, but there was something unsettling about how calm she sounded. I just got a very interesting message from your wife. I glanced back at Jessica. Her smirk faltered for a fraction of a second. I smiled. She hadn't told Lauren everything yet. Lauren continued. Jessica claims you've been misinformed. Of course she did. I let out a slow breath. That's so? Yes. And before I decide whether to believe her, I have to ask you something, Daniel. A slight pause. How much do you know? The weight of the question pressed against my chest. She wasn't asking about Tyler. She was asking about herself. Jessica must have realized it too, because her face suddenly changed. The confidence drained away, replaced with something tighter. Nervousness. I smiled. Checkmate. I lowered my voice. Enough. Lauren exhaled sharply, like she had been waiting for that answer. I see. Silence. Heavy. Loaded. Then, Lauren spoke again, her tone colder than before. Meet me in an hour. Alone. Jessica took a sharp step forward. No, he won't. I held up a hand, cutting her off. Lauren ignored her completely. I'll text you the address. If you don't show, I'll assume you're making yourself my problem. Her problem. I wasn't stupid. This wasn't just a conversation. This was a warning. But I wasn't backing down. I glanced at Jessica one last time, watching the panic creep into her features. Then I said the only thing I could. See you soon. And I hung up. The second I hung up, Jessica snapped. What the hell are you doing? She shrieked, grabbing my arm. You don't go meet with Lauren. You don't talk to her alone. Do you have any idea what you've just done? I peeled her fingers off me, slow and deliberate, then took a step back. Yeah, Jess, I know exactly what I'm doing. She stared at me, chest rising and falling rapidly. For the first time since this started, she looked genuinely afraid. Daniel, listen to me, she said, her voice lower now, urgent. You think this is about me cheating? About Tyler? It's not. You don't know who you're dealing with. I tilted my head. Then tell me. Jessica hesitated. That tiny moment of indecision told me everything. She couldn't tell me. Whether it was because she was afraid or because she was in too deep, it didn't matter. I was going to find out the truth with or without her. I grabbed my keys from the counter. Jessica panicked. She darted in front of me, blocking the doorway. No, you're not going. I exhaled sharply, running my tongue over my teeth. Move. No, she squared her shoulders. You don't get it. Lauren isn't like you and me. She doesn't get mad. She gets even. I smirked. Yeah? Sounds like we'll get along just fine. Jessica slapped me. Hard. Sharp. My head snapped to the side. For a second, everything went silent. Jessica's chest was heaving, her hand trembling where it had connected with my face. But she didn't look guilty. She looked furious. You're going to ruin everything, she whispered. I turned my head back slowly, locking eyes with her. Good. Then I stepped past her. She didn't stop me this time. She just stood there, breathing hard, as I walked out the door, out of our house, out of our old life. Because this wasn't about our marriage anymore.